This is the Ask a Photographer podcast, answering your photography-related questions about general photography, workflow, editing, business, and marketing. To submit a question, go to beblino.com/ask. Hello and thank you for listening to this week's episode. My name is Mike and I'm from beblino.com. Today's question is from Neil and he asks, help me sort through 25,000 photos from my holiday. Neil says, I took a one-week holiday with my family and I went to France and ended up with 25,000 photos. I made the mistake of leaving on burst mode. Now I have multiple photos of every photo I took on holiday. I use a Mac and Lightroom for editing. What is the best way to sort through a large amount of photos? Wow. Neil, if you don't mind me saying, mate, that's a bucket load of photos for one holiday. So, sorry. All right. The thing is, it's easy done. It's really simple. But I know that you mentioned you've got Lightroom, but Neil, I think for this instance, I think the best thing to do would be to cull your photos outside of Lightroom. And only because that it's going to be, if you were to import 25,000 photos into Lightroom and then have to sort out which ones you want to edit, which would be quite overwhelming because of so many photos in one area. And then, of course, you should remove all the photos that you don't plan on editing. And it can become quite messy. So what I would recommend is two things. One, to set up a simple file structure to hold your photos for the purpose of culling and also editing. And two, using an application called Photo Mechanic. Now, Photo Mechanic is a photo browser. It's used by professional photographers in sports photography or editorial photographers. It's super fast to open photos at full screen, even RAW files. It's really cool. I've been using it for many years, and I actually use it for even a small amount of photos, not just a large amount of photos. And a wedding, I can go through 2,000 to 3,000 photos in 40 minutes to an hour from a wedding when I'm culling, and I'll go through, I don't know, maybe 3 cards, and it's super fast. So this is what I would suggest you do. First things first, Neil, get yourself a beverage. It's going to take a long time, so get yourself a beverage and get yourself comfortable. I would grab all your cards, have them ready, because we're going to create a simple file structure. And I should note that the culling and also the organization of photos, I've written an in-depth article that takes you step by step on how to do this. But for your case, I'll just briefly go over it. Now, I would create a folder called France 2016. Within that folder, you create a folder for every single card and label it card 1, card 2, card 3, so on and so forth until you've gone through all your cards. Now, download one card to each corresponding folder until they're all in your hard drive. From there, the next thing you should do is create a folder called Selects. This Selects folder is going to have all the photos that you want to edit and import into Lightroom. Because what we're going to do, we're going to get rid of all the raw downloaded photos from your hard drive to save space. So the folders that we created, card 1, card 2, card 3, we're going to delete those after you finish editing. And you'll be left with just a Selects folder, which is going to be a cut down of all the other photos you got there. So you've copied your photos across onto your hard drive into the respective folders. You've created the Selects folder. The next thing would be to download Photo Mechanic. It is free for 30 days. I'll put a link in the show notes. It is also $150. It's dirt cheap if this is the type of thing that you're doing on a regular basis, not leaving it on burst mode, but going through a lot of photos. It's actually, it makes life a lot easier. Anyway, so you've got Photo Mechanic installed. Open up your first card. First card will come up and you'll have a stacks of thumbnails. Double click on the first thumbnail, hit the F key. The F key will bring it to full screen. Now, we're going to use 3 fingers. That's all. And our purpose of putting it to full screen is to sift through all your photos quite quickly and hit the T key, which will tag your photo. And by doing so, we're going to tag all the photos that you want to keep and edit. Because what we're going to do, we're going to copy these photos that we want to edit, we're going to put them into a Selects folder, and from the Selects folder, we're going to import into Lightroom. simple, right? You're going to have so many less photos to edit and to look at. And the reason I tell you to open up one card at a time is just so you can concentrate on a small amount of photos and not be overwhelmed. Because, man, 25,000 photos, it's going to get to a point that you just don't want to edit when you see so many photos. Go through every single photo at full screen, so left and right keys, and hitting the T key when you come across a photo that you want to keep or edit. Go through your whole card in one hit, and once you go through it once, I usually like to do a second look just in case. And once you've finished that the tagging process, I want you to hit the F3 key on your keyboard. And what this will do, it will actually only show the tag photos. And then you do a select all, and then copy these to the selects folder. So this selects folder is going to have only your tag photos. Now repeat this process for all the cards, and it's going to take you a little while. Keep on doing that until you're done. And from there, that's when after you've done all the tagging and sorting and you've copied them to the selects folder, that's when you open up Lightroom and you import those those photos, and then you're presented with a smaller amount of photos. Make sure you put on one-to-one previews. Yeah, that's how I would cull, and it's how I get through so many photos in such a short period of time. Now, notice that we did not rate any photos, we did not color code any photos, we just kept it nice and simple, and that's the key here. We're only picking the photos we want to edit and just not even worrying about the other photo. If you want to do this in Lightroom and not bother with Photo Mechanic, well, you can, and the process would be get all the photos in there, and then do a similar process of going through each individual photo and tagging, and only looking at photos that you want to edit. Now that's one way of doing it within Lightroom. Another way would be, say for instance, your sequence of photos. You mentioned that you use burst mode. Select all your sequence, right? Then hit the N key, right? Well, while you're in Lightroom, this will show you the survey mode. The survey mode shows just those photos in a larger version. And you can go and look at those photos as a group, and then you can just click on the photo and hit the D key to develop. That's one way of doing it too. Personally, I would like to look at a smaller amount of photos rather than be inundated with a bucketload of photos like you have, Neil, and culling outside of Lightroom. That's just my personal preference, but I know that it gets my editing of my photos. I can do a whole wedding, which is 2,000 to 3,000 photos within 4 or 5 hours. I used to do it. It used to take me days. So yeah. So Neil, mate, I hope that helps. And thanks for your question. If you have a question that you'd like featured on the show, go to biblino.com/ask to submit your question. I'd love to hear what you think of the show by going to iTunes or Stitcher and giving me a review and a rating. And don't forget to subscribe so you get notifications of new episodes. Thanks for listening. Until next time, get out and take more photos. Oh, look, it's a cat in front of a sunset.